Greater than, Fast and Furious has always been about family, heart, and action. But space. Looking back, that was the moment we might have broken the suspension of disbelief. We can never get that genie back, Langley said in a candid industry conversation. It's a rare moment of honesty from Hollywood's top brass, and it begs the question, how did we get here? How did one of cinema's most bankable franchises, born from the gritty asphalt of street racing in 2001, launch itself into orbit in 2021, only to discover the backlash waiting in zero gravity? This is the story of how the Fast and Furious franchise went from muscle cars to rocket ships, why Universal is now reflecting on that gamble, and what it means for the future of blockbuster filmmaking. The asphalt roots of a billion-dollar franchise. When Rob Cohen's The Fast and the Furious debuted in 2001, it was a lean, adrenaline-fueled street racing thriller. Starring Paul Walker as undercover cop Brian O'Connor and Vin Diesel as charismatic racer Dominic Toretto, it thrived on the subculture of late-night drag races, neon lights, and souped-up imports. It wasn't about global espionage or supervillains. It wasn't about hacking satellites or dangling cars off cliffs. It was about stolen DVD players, brotherhood, and loyalty. The stunts, though bold, were grounded, burnouts, drag races, and the occasional mid-air leap. But as the films evolved, so did their scale. By Fast 5 2011, the franchise shifted into heist thriller territory, pulling off a daring safe-dragging chase through Rio de Janeiro. By Furious 7 2015, Dom and his crew were skydiving cars out of planes and leaping between Abu Dhabi skyscrapers. The physics stretched further with each sequel. And then came F9, where, the only frontier left, became literal outer space. The space leap, when suspension of disbelief snapped. The F9** space sequence was teased long before release. Tyrese Gibson fueled the rumors in interviews, laughing off speculation that the franchise would inevitably end up in orbit. Fans joked about it on Twitter, memes flourished, and even longtime viewers thought Universal wouldn't dare. But they did. Roman and Tej suit up, strap into a modified Pontiac Fiero, and, thanks to a partnership with Sean Boswell, Lucas Black, and Twinkie, Shad Moss, from Tokyo Drift, blast off into the stratosphere. It's absurd, comedic, and self-aware. The problem? Many fans didn't laugh with the film, they laughed at it. Greater than, I came for fast cars, not space rockets, one disappointed fan wrote on Reddit. Greater than, they jumped the shark so hard they left the atmosphere, another quipped. Critics echoed the sentiment. While some applauded the sheer audacity, others felt the franchise had finally pushed beyond parody. The spectacle was undeniable, but the emotional core, what Langley later emphasized as family, heart, and action, seemed buried beneath the gimmick. Why Universal took the gamble. From a studio perspective, the space leap wasn't random. By the time F9** went into production, the Fast and Furious series had grossed over $5 billion globally. Each film had to outdo the last. Bigger explosions, higher stakes, crazier stunts, that was the unwritten law. And space, quite literally, was the final frontier. Langley defended the decision at the time, suggesting that the franchise was about pushing limits. Director Justin Lin also stood by it, calling the space sequence a natural evolution. Behind the scenes, however, Universal executives reportedly debated whether the move would alienate longtime fans. In a Hollywood obsessed with one-upmanship, the space gamble was seen as both inevitable and risky. The pandemic also played a role. With audiences hungry for spectacle in the post-lockdown cinema era, Universal banked on bigger is better to lure people back to theaters. In raw numbers, it worked. F9** grossed over $726 million worldwide despite pandemic restrictions. But the long-term brand damage lingered. Fans divided. Love it or hate it. The F9** space stunt instantly became the most talked about moment of the film. Social media exploded with reactions. Some fans adored the absurdity, treating it as meme-worthy camp. Others saw it as the moment the franchise lost its identity. A vocal group even argued it opened doors for future crossovers, joking about Dom racing the Guardians of the Galaxy or teaming with NASA. But within the fandom, a deeper split emerged. For every cheer of, only Dom Toretto can defy the laws of physics, there was a groan of what happened to the street races? The backlash wasn't just about believability, it was about heart. The earliest films thrived on tension, loyalty, and subculture cool. In space, that gritty realism evaporated. Donna Langley's rare admission. Now, in 2025, Langley's candid admission marks a turning point. Speaking at an industry summit, she reflected, "Greater than, we thought we were elevating the franchise. Instead, we may have fractured its core. Fans are forgiving, but they want to feel the roots again. The street racing, the emotional stakes, those can't get lost in spectacle." Asterisk. It's not often that studio heads admit mistakes. Hollywood is built on spin, especially around billion-dollar franchises. For Langley to openly say the space stunt broke the suspension of disbelief is as shocking as the Pontiac Fiero strapped to rockets itself. Her words suggest that Universal understands the delicate balance between pushing boundaries and alienating audiences. Hollywood's bigger lesson. The space fiasco isn't just about Fast and Furious. It speaks to a broader issue in blockbuster filmmaking: escalation fatigue. Audiences crave innovation, but when every sequel must be louder, bigger, and wilder, eventually logic collapses. The Marvel Cinematic Universe faced similar criticism after expanding into multiverse madness. Even James Bond was once mocked for outlandish sci-fi plots like Moonraker, 1979, when 007 also went to space. For Fast and Furious, the problem is sharper because the franchise once prided itself on being grounded. When you start with drag races in LA back alleys, sending characters into orbit can feel like betrayal. What's next for the franchise? As the saga nears its supposed conclusion, Fast X Part 2 and beyond, Universal faces a choice: double down on absurdity or steer back to its roots. Fans have made their desires clear: more street racing, more character-driven stories, less physics-defying gimmickry. With Paul Walker's legacy still central, many argue that honoring the emotional heart of the series should matter more than topping box office charts with spectacle. Vin Diesel has hinted that the finale will return to its origins, promising something for the fans, for the streets, for family. Langley's admission suggests Universal might finally agree. The legacy of the space stunt. Ironically, though, the space sequence has already cemented its place in pop culture history. It may have been a mistake, but it's a memorable one, quoted, memed, and debated endlessly. In a way, that's very Fast and Furious: bold, reckless, and unforgettable. The question now is whether Universal can reclaim the franchise's soul, or whether Fast and Furious will forever be remembered as the saga that flew too close to the sun, Pontiac Fiero and all. Fast and Furious is a cultural juggernaut that defied expectations for over 2 decades. It's not often a Hollywood franchise survives past 9 films, let alone thrives. But with F9’s space stunt, Universal discovered the limits of escalation. Donna Langley's rare confession, "Yeah, that was a mistake," may sting, but it also offers hope. If the studio truly listens, the final chapter of the saga could bring the story back to its roots: fast cars, fierce loyalty, and the undeniable heartbeat of family. Because in the end, fans don't just want spectacle. They want connection. And no matter how high the franchise flies, it's strongest when it keeps its wheels on the ground.